Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of our RANT series. We've got here with us today special guest host Craig and George Sybert from Musing Podcast. Guys, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Love it.
Welcome back.
That's right. We've got a very interesting rant today that was inspired by one of their podcasts that I happened to listen to about 2 weeks ago or something like that.
And yelled at us like for an hour.
I was like, man, I wish I was a part of this because we could go all sorts of different directions. They did a great job. But I was like, one of the things that's always great about the three of us getting together and talking is like, I think we all have things we like and beliefs on certain things when it comes to music. And a lot of times we're on the same page. A lot of times we're not, and that's cool because not everybody agrees about everything, right? But I thought it would also make a great rant here for the Sea of Tranquility YouTube channel to kind of continue the conversation, and maybe I'm not going to say we're going to get deeper, but
get your 2 cents in anyway.
To get my 2 cents, of course, yeah, because I don't want to be left out,
Right?
And today's rant is all about rock anthems. What is a rock anthem? What makes a rock anthem? I think George and Craig got a really kind of open my mind to think about this. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been jotting down songs and is that an anthem? Is that not an anthem?
Well, and not to jump in, but I was texting you guys. I actually got to go to one of the World Series games, and I kept texting you guys what songs they were actually playing to get the crowd fired up. And there were some that even shocked me. So I know that we were going back and forth about it, but I'm dying to hear your list. I'm dying to hear what you got. But what is it to you, though? What's a rock anthem?
What is a rock anthem to me? All right, so I'm going to have to be on camera for this. A rock anthem is a song that makes you go, it gets your fist in the air, gets you singing, gets you up on your feet, right? It's not a song where you're like,
all right.
It's got, and again,
listen.
I have like a lot of your conversation for your podcast in my head now, what you guys were talking about. So I'm trying not to kind of just, verbatim repeat it.
Yeah,
but
no,
You're actually, your face is flushed, Pete. I can tell you're.
it's a rant, man. Come on. It's like, you gotta get into this here.
Right.
But
wait, let me read you the actual definition first.
Okay, go for it.
A rock anthem is a powerful celebratory rock song with arena rock sound, often with lyrics celebrating rock music itself, and simple sing-along choruses, chants, or hooks. These rock anthems were chosen for their popularity as a rock anthem. So, that's...
I agree with some of that.
So saith Google.
I don't think the lyrics have anything to do with it. I think you could be singing the lyrics could have to do with... The lyrics would have to do with like the Loch Ness Monster. I don't think it really matters. As long as there's hooks and there's guitar riffs that are memorable.
You and me are together. I got that. I agree.
Okay.
I agree with that. George is a little further left field to that. I think it can include those.
Oh, sure.
It has to. Right. Like we had talked about Seven Nation Army, and he's like, blah, 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 no, blah, blah, no. I'm like, come on, man.
No, I said they play that at stadium.
But it doesn't have anything to do with rock at all.
No.
So I agree with Pete. We're buddies in this one.
Yes,
but that song is definitely, it's a more recent one. But yeah, God, you hear that everywhere you go, right?
Right.
It gets people fired up.
But we started with, and which I think is the musical definition of a rock anthem, is Kiss, Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day.
One of the first, right?
Craig is just losing his mind right now.
I'm not disagreeing with that song. I just think that it doesn't have to be party rock and roll all night.
It doesn't have to be, but I think we can agree that was one of the first, though.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, how can you not say that's a rock anthem?
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah. I definitely think it is. We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions by Queen. I think all three of those songs
We Are the Champions? I don't think so.
Oh.
Come on, it's all one of the same.
He's
technically it's
well.
But remember what I said. Fist in the air.
Yeah, no.
That's an anthem for me.
It's just getting. So I think so. In after our conversation, I did go to this game and I started listening to what they were doing. And maybe it's the nature of baseball. And I also listened to football this last weekend just to see what I could figure out. Maybe it's the nature of baseball. You only get like 3 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Or 5 seconds of a song.
Late, right.
So We Are the Champions maybe in football or like in a break or something, but it wouldn't fly in a baseball game where they need like 5 seconds of, because they started with not Fight for Your Right, but the other one, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. They started with the opening line of that, and everybody's like, yeah, cheer in for the 3 seconds, and then, they're back in the game.
Because the song has to be that memorable that any little snippet of it people know. Right. That's why, We Will Rock You. All you need to hear is doom, doom, doom. That's
3
it.
drum beats,
right?
Yeah.
Or if you're at a game or whatever kind of game and you hear
right, exactly.
You know what it is, right?
Right. Same
Countdown,
with
right?
There's 3 chords in Highway to Hell. Da-na-na, you know what song that is. As soon as they play those 3 chords, that's it. I mean, everybody.
Black too, yeah.
Exactly.
There's so many. It's just, but again, and I put together a list. It's fairly lengthy.
Oh my gosh!
But some of them are like.
So we voting? Are we thumbs up, thumbs down?
All right. I'm on camera.
Come on, man! It's a rant. We got it. We got to make it hard on you.
All right, you're the guest, so I let you guys go first. Just rattle off some.
Well, it was. I mean, I was kind of shocked. I had mentioned it to George, and then when I was at the game, they actually started "Welcome to the Jungle."
Because let me clarify. During our rant, if you will, we didn't have to necessarily like the song or be one of our favorite songs to qualify as a rock.
Right.
Because I mean, "Welcome to the Jungle." If I ever hear that song again, I couldn't care less. But when that song starts and he's but
crazy train.
It happened. It's just one of those things. It's kind of an indescribable thing. When the song starts, you're just like, yeah, you get up and like you do, you get up. It makes you want to get up. It makes you want to, it's.
What was one of yours?
Well, like, I don't even have a list for this one because I thought we were just ranting about which ones were and which ones weren't. But it's like
we are kind of.
Well,
I got a lengthy list. You guys can give me thumbs up or down.
Yeah, you go. You start. Go down the list.
I want to comment on Guns N' Roses for a second. So even though I'm not a fan, they arguably have 3 or 4 of these.
Sure.
I mean, I think Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, Sweet Child of Mine, and I'm probably missing.
Well, Welcome to the Jungle is definitely one too. I mean, that's whether you like it or not, it's valid.
You Could Be Mine.
No.
That drum beat at the beginning?
No.
Okay, Pete, start list, man.
Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith.
100%.
Yeah, I thumbs up on that. Yeah.
Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, didn't we? I think we might have even mentioned that Rock and Roll was the one, because I had even said I said a different one that was Black Dog, but I think Rock and Roll is actually the better one for that.
I thought of Black Dog and then I crossed it off. I think even though I never need to hear Rock and Roll again, I think that's their tune, and I don't think Stairway to Heaven is an anthem.
No. I think
that's different.
They have to be kind of upbeat. I mean, not that you don't know the song, like you don't know. Everybody knows the first guitar riff of Stairway to Heaven, but this is more like excitable, like get people fired up type of song.
Right. Yeah. You Shook Me All Night Long.
100%. That was on Craig's list.
Yeah, that was on my list.
We already talked about Kiss. Don't Look Back. I mean, I'm sorry. More Than a Feeling by Boston. I knew Craig was going to go
down.
Really?
Come on, brother. So, seriously, the opening to that is, I mean, when the song gets going, it's a good song. It's a great song. But does that opening get people doing this?
Well, if you skip the opening and go right into the dun 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 dun, I mean,
but you can do that with the end of Led Zeppelin and ever wind on down the road. Come on. I mean, when you get to that part, it's up, it's moving. I say no, but.
All right, so we're on the fence.
I know it's Boston, Boston.
George can't say no. That's the best song ever written. I'm not going to argue that.
Well, how about we substitute Rock and Roll Band?
Yeah, or Smokin'.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, those got good openings.
Yeah. All right, have a couple Alice Cooper ones here. How about School's Out?
Definitely.
And I'm 18.
I can't remember how 18 starts. How does it start?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go School's Out.
I think School's Out definitely out of the two.
No more
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Nice
agree.
Guy?
Oh yeah,
What?
absolutely. Yeah. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would go
Yeah,
with that.
I think that's a better choice as an anthem than I'm 18. Because I'm 18, I think has that kind of like lurid kind of doomy
it's kind
vibe
of
to it.
almost downer.
But
Sort of.
School's Out is like a guaranteed.
Yeah, School's Out's easy money.
I wrote down Def Leppard with a question mark, and I didn't write any songs, but I'm thinking like maybe Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Yeah.
Which,
If I never hear that
Seriously.
song, it'll be too soon.
What's the
silly
one that
song.
starts off with the lighter? Pyromania? No.
Oh, Photograph.
Yeah.
Photograph definitely.
Yeah.
Photograph definitely.
But Pour Some Sugar on Me, Girls, 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 on two songs that stop playing them, but they're rock anthems. You know what I mean? Or if not,
Girls, Girls, Girls is a rock anthem. Ugh.
I think I would have went Kickstart My Heart before Girls, Girls, Girls. I mean, we're talking about anthems, not strip club, right? I mean, those are two
Right.
different.
Well,
Okay.
depends
But
on
a bar or a club also.
A lot
I
of
think qualifies
crossovers.
as- Yeah.
fine
Yeah,
one.
I originally was thinking Home Sweet Home, but then I'm like,
Nah.
Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas.
Is that
No.
like the? Oh, hold on now. Is that like the? I can't see. Most of the ones we've talked about have been drum guitar.
Carry On Wayward Son starts with vocals,
Yeah, that's like the,
and then the guitar rips in, so it's a little different, right?
I mean,
but I think
Crazy
everybody
Train-
knows that opening line. I mean, you hear that, and you're like, yes, love this song.
does that get people up and excited? I don't. That's the question. I go mid range for that one.
Mid range, okay.
I'm not sure about that one.
I'm gonna say
Huh.
no. I don't dislike the song, but I don't think it's a rock anthem. I don't think it's.
Okay.
How about Come Sail Away by Styx?
Oh, is that the wrong one? I was thinking the wrong
I
one.
think Long, Long Way from Home, maybe.
Oh, from Foreigner.
Oh yeah, I was thinking Foreigner. Yeah, sorry.
I didn't put any Foreign on my list, but you could pick like almost any song off that first album.
Oh
think.
yeah.
All right, well, we'll
I'm
skip
going to
Come Sail
listen
Away.
to that one again and see.
Yeah, I think it kind of is, but again, it's got a mellow kind of
Yeah.
opening, so it doesn't kind of just come in and bash you over the head. Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions.
Oh man,
Yeah,
how
100%.
did we miss that one?
I think did we said that?
You guys
we?
mentioned it. Yeah, In
Yeah.
fact,
I know,
your guest mentioned it.
Brent, yeah, I know.
At the
I
end of the
know
show.
we did.
Can-
Yeah.
Can we go with Blackout too? I mean, because that
I
either
would
one of
think
those.
so. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
think so. Any Way You Want It by Journey.
Another vocal one, but I definitely take that one over Carry On My Wayward Son.
Okay.
George.
I mean, it's another one of those. It gives me chills to think about listening to it. But
hold
yeah,
on.
it's a rock
So
anthem.
we have our requirements for these songs that are anthems, but is the sub requirement songs that we're sick of and we don't want to hear anymore? Is that the sub definition of anthems for us? Because honestly, as much as I like Guns N' Roses, if I don't ever hear Sweet Child of Mine opening again, I could be fine with that.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Don't Stop Believing. That's
No.
an anthem. No?
That's like I mean, it's a karaoke anthem.
Well, but again, we're not just talking, sporting events. We're talking
Think of the-
bars, weddings, clubs.
Think of the opening of that song.
it's
just
like
put it in your head.
Yeah, it's like slow piano though.
No, it's slow.
God,
People hear that, they're like instantly like, yes.
I definitely, I don't think if it's sporting, but anything else other than sporting events gets people with their hands in the air. I would agree with that. Weddings, bar mitzvahs, all that type of stuff where people are getting together, doing fun stuff. That song definitely gets people with their hands in the air. They want to.
George is moaning over there. He's not feeling
whatever.
it.
I mean, it's just that's
I
a
think
true
Their Feeling is the best song ever. So
Yeah,
How about Enter Sandman by Metallica?
Oh, God.
yeah, it's mandatory.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, no, it's
It's
unfortunate.
literally becoming a list of the songs that I just don't want to hear anymore.
I know, but unfortunately, you got like a majority of the population that could listen to these songs
But I think
forever. It's never ending. It's
I
like,
think that's because of that's like radio play, because they are rock anthems, because every stadium, even like high school stadiums and football games at high schools play these songs
So people think they go to a game, they have to hear it, and they expect to hear it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's guys like us that are snobs, I guess, that you get tired. You want a little variety. I mean, you'd rather hear like the opening to Seek and Destroy, because I'd be like, yeah, and then like instead of Enter Sandman, you know what I mean? I'd be like, wow, they're playing Seek and Destroy. That's awesome. Rather than Enter Sandman.
This again, yeah.
Yeah, here we go again.
A couple Priest tunes here. How about You Got Another Thing Coming, Living After Midnight, and Breaking the Law?
Breaking the Law.
Definitely. Oh,
I think all three of them are anthems.
Yeah. All three are valid, but
yeah.
laws.
What else I got here? Here I Go Again by Whitesnake.
That starts slow though.
But I feel about the same way about that one that I do Led Zeppelin. If you get to the end of Led Zeppelin, people are going to be up and excited. I feel the same way about that song. Well, you can.
So is Still the Night a better pick then? I know George.
Always.
Where's that thumb, George?
Yeah,
Come on.
Always gonna be a better pick for me. I've heard that song like a couple of times on the radio recently. I know I send you guys the videos, but
oh yeah,
damn.
Yeah. So is Freebird an anthem, a rock anthem?
We talked about that. I think Sweet Home Alabama is probably more of a rock anthem than Freebird.
Freebird's a slow build, right?
It's a slow burn. It takes too long to get there. Whereas Sweet Home, I don't think everybody knows that song.
I don't think any of those two are rock anthems. And I'm a Skinner fan, big Skinner fan. I don't think any of those two, when you start those songs, now don't get me wrong, if you're at a rock concert and somebody starts playing that, everybody's going to be up and moving. But
no, anywhere, as soon as Sweet Home Alabama starts, you're going to turn it up. Everybody does that. Because
I know that, but
everybody does. It's got to be
like
rock
if you're talking about openings, like where you're squeezing them into 3 to 5 seconds, I think Give Me 3 Steps is a better
Sweet
song.
Home Alabama will always be unmistakable.
That's not an argument. I'm not saying that it's the people aren't going to mistake it for something else or get excited about it. I just don't think it fits anthem.
I think more people will recognize that than Give Me 3 Steps.
Well, I was just going with opening.
Give Me 3 Steps is a better song, but
no argument there.
Yeah, 100%.
The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy.
A lot of bass in that one.
Yep.
George?
I'll allow it.
Oh.
I think, because there's a lot of criteria that anthems have to meet, but I think it's recognition, I guess, I think is kind of like first and foremost for me. Like if you don't instantly recognize a song from the first couple of beats or first couple of things, I don't think it should even be considered past that. All these songs that we've mentioned are easily recognizable and easily sing along to. They've got that hook. They've got because you know what's coming. Even if you want to consider Stairway to Heaven a rock anthem, it's believable because everybody knows the song. It's got recognition first. And I think that's the first criteria for a rock anthem.
But
then it goes into subsets of it's got to make you throw your fist in the air. It's got to be everybody's got to know the lyrics and sing along. Everybody's got to get pumped. So I think their recognition, I think, is almost the initial criteria for a rock anthem. Otherwise, it's dead in the water.
I'd go with that.
I'd agree. I have a couple others, but I think we really kind of nailed it here. But I'll throw them out anyway.
Got to finish the list, yeah.
Bob O'Reilly by The Who, as well as Pinball Wizard and Won't Get Fooled Again. I think Won't Get Fooled Again you got to have, right?
Yes.
Bob O'Reilly is definitely.
Yeah, and it's not very heavy either. It's kind of light, but it's one of those ones that kind of is a good, solid rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
What about
Satisfaction by the Stones?
Yeah.
See, I said that, and they both shot me down. I think it is.
I did? I shot you down?
You and Brent both shot me down, yeah.
Huh.
And there's probably other Stones tunes we could pick too. Like maybe
it's easily recognized. As soon as the guitar starts.
That's true. I'm not arguing. We fit one criteria, but we haven't fit them all.
Well, no, that's true.
What was that 80s song they had that with the Steel Wheels song, the Steel Wheel Tour?
Oh,
Start Me Up.
Yeah, Start Me Up was
that's
another.
probably that's a good one.
Probably as good or better. I mean, as far as rock anthems.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good one.
As soon as the games get ready to start, what do? They play "Start Me Up" by the Stones.
Yeah, exactly.
I think "Sympathy for the Devil" and maybe "Give Me Shelter." Maybe.
I could give him Shelter for sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What about "Run to the Hills" by Iron Maiden?
It's on my list.
It's not recognizable.
Well, you know what it is. It's I'll tell you something. That is an anthem for every metalhead in the world.
I was gonna say us metalheads are gonna recognize that.
Yeah.
2 Minutes to Midnight. Also, I mean, both of those tunes.
Yeah. Yes. Mainstream, probably not. Yeah. But
I mean, any metalhead, you go somewhere and you hear doom, 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 doom. You know exactly what it is, right?
That's exactly right.
Now you could do Indians by Anthrax for that too, right?
Ooh,
well,
Jesus, that's an oldie.
Yeah, you could. I mean, I would, but
I would get it too, only because of you, unfortunately.
What about I think we talked about this. There weren't, this is more for directed at Pete. There aren't a lot of newer 90s and up rock anthems that is because of lack of play. Like, we've heard Satisfaction since the 60s.
Right.
So does that take
a lack of radio? Yeah.
Does that take Seven Nation Army off the list or out of the list because it's only got 20 years worth of wash and wear?
No, I mean, I think that's one of the few that you can point to from the last 20 years. I also think, and George, you can help me on this, I think we probably could pull 2, maybe 3 Pantera tunes and put them on this list.
Oh yeah, Walk, especially.
Walk, yeah,
absolutely, right? Walk. You know,
Cemetery Gates. No,
I was going to say Cemetery Gates, maybe.
Okay,
the
opening's a little.
This Love, I mean, that.
This Love, absolutely, yeah.
Well, but I mean, that actually got quite a bit of radio play in the early '90s. Yes, I mean, like for me, I could definitely. There's a lot more. The heavier the song, I mean, for me, it's easier to make it into a rock anthem because.
So, like the Helmet song.
Unsung.
Yeah, or Hey Man, Nice Shot.
Maybe.
I mean, but you're kind of still stopping at the 90s. You know, we're in as sad as it is to say. We're at 2020, man. We're 20 years removed from the 90s already. You know, and
meanwhile, I'm just in my head, I'm thinking, oh, geez, can we throw like a Pearl Jam or a Soundgarden or Alice in Chains song in here? And that's like, we're going back.
Except they're 25 years old.
But seriously though, I mean, is it because of what you said, George, that there's not a lengthy enough radio play, or is it because what we've alluded to, which we need to have all three of us really need to have a rant on this about rock being dead? I mean, is the fact that there's no solid, you know, we talked about Andrew WK, you and I, a little bit on the podcast.
Yeah, Party Hard. I mean,
Party Hard.
That was designed as a rock anthem, I think.
Right. And that didn't even go over well.
Well, I mean, it made him famous for 10 minutes. But I think the attention span in this generation of music, not just people, I think that's what's caused a lack of, and in our earlier, the other show we did, there's a lack of 10-minute drum solos. There's a lack of rock anthems because you don't have time. You can't keep people's attention long enough to make it. I mean, it has to stand out.
It's got to resonate, right?
Yeah, they're and I think
people are churning out songs like that.
By comparison, right? Led Zeppelin didn't have to compete with 70,000 other bands and internet and people posting their stuff on YouTube or Spotify or whatever by the minute, literally. You know, they had, the Who's that new album's coming out. I'll wait an extra week and then we'll put ours out, and then they'll give them a week at number one and then we'll get number one or whatever, Now it's literally, you've got TV shows promoting people that are singers, and you've got radio stations having people call in and record on their cell phones to get a recording contract. And I think that nowadays the attention span is so short, it's virtually impossible to create longevity unless you have something from the past.
In rock or just music in general? I'm sorry, I know we're getting off on a tangent, but
I think in music in general.
I think,
most people are not willing to hang on to a song and listen to it for months, years at a time. It's like you listen to it, you groove on it, dig it for a couple of weeks, and then you know what? 5 others come in and take its place, and you've already forgotten about that one. Right.
Yeah, let alone the band. I mean, they're throwing literally bands away in that time frame, 2 to 3 weeks.
Yep. So none of these songs stand a chance of becoming an anthem because the fans and the listeners aren't willing to make it such. Attention
span of there's like a 5-minute window nowadays that if you can be famous for that 5 minutes, good for you. Or
you can sell your song immediately to 2 different commercials. Greta Van Fleet.
It's an unfortunate reality if you want to make money at it.
Yep.
It's an unfortunate.
Side note, that song Party Hard was released in 2001.
Oh, wow. Recent.
Yeah, that's new.
Only 18 years ago.
I will tell you, and this is a really good conversation, especially the last couple of minutes, I think, and very relevant. As someone who runs a website where we get in hundreds of new releases from new bands looking to be discovered, veteran bands, classic bands, all putting out new music, I will tell you there are plenty, because I think I know a thing or two about recognizing the qualities that make an anthem. I hear plenty of songs by plenty of bands every year that could be exactly what we're talking about here. But because of what you guys are saying about the lack of attention span and how nobody gives anything a real chance before moving on to 10 other things, that maybe the anthem is doomed and there's not going to be any rock anthems going forward. But I will tell you, those songs are out there. They're being produced every day.
Oh, yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And I'm positive of that. But the fact that, like, there's new bands or there's bands playing bars or bands playing even small venue show, 1,000-seat shows or whatever, and then they're not even filling those. And like over this past weekend, Sebastian Bach did Skid Row's first album in its entirety, and Vince Neil showed up, and there was literally 20,000 people standing in the streets to see these guys that are our age or older playing songs that are 20, 30
years old. Yeah.
Years old.
Yeah.
And because they're trying to hold on to that, we are trying to hold on to, because when we, in the last show about drummers, nobody mentioned any drummers from, I think Dave Grohl got brought up, but I mean, there's really nothing stands out anymore. It's not because it's not good, not like you said, Pete, not because there's not being great songs and great music produced, and
because the mainstream is not embracing it or them.
But there's so much of it.
There's too much. It's overload.
Is it really too much, or is rock just totally dead? Do people like us? Are there people around? This is going to sound horrible, but are there people around like us that care about rock music anymore? Because if you look at, I look at my son, and he's obviously taken to some of the music I listen to, but I look at all the kids that he's hanging out with. None of them even know 1/16 of the bands from 20 years ago, let alone, any rock bands from nowadays at all. I mean, it's all pop. It's all, a singer-songwriter, or it's all country. I mean, there's really no rock that is noticed by kids nowadays at all.
So this is a question that I get asked all the time. And guys will come to me from all different age groups, and they'll be like, oh, rock is dead. Okay, there's no such thing anymore. It died back in 96 or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. And I always say that it's very much alive. There's plenty of great music out there if you're willing to go find it. Okay. The problem is so many people, you got a couple different scenarios here. So you got guys who are maybe my age early mid-50s and older, who at the end of the 80s grew up, got married, had kids, bought houses, and then kind of fell into a lifestyle where there really wasn't that need or the time or the inclination to go out and discover all this new music. So what they did basically was latched onto the same groups that they had been listening to since they were a kid, and they haven't listened to anything new since. So to them, there hasn't been any great new bands or music coming out in 30 years because they haven't bothered to look for it. To them, rock music ended in '89, and that's all they listen to when they listen. And there could be bands who they loved back in the 80s or the 70s who are still together putting out new music. And the response you guys, oh, they've been putting out music for the last 25 years? No idea. So there's those guys, okay? Then you got the younger generation, okay, who are maybe in their 20s or early 30s or what have you, who may just be discovering some of these classic bands now through their parents. But as far as the new music goes, they'll listen to an artist or two here and there for a short period of time, like we talked about before, then move on to something else, and once they move on, those artists, those songs, those albums are forgotten about very, very quickly.
Yep.
So it's not, and then you have, I'll use myself as an example, someone like me, and again, because I have a website and the YouTube channel and what have you, I've been exposed to so much new music for so many years through that. But I think I've always been the type of guy to go out and seek new stuff, and that has never died with me. Unfortunately, I think I'm a dying breed. I don't think there's a lot of people out there like me. There's plenty. Trust me, there's plenty, but we're not talking millions and millions of people. The masses fall into both those other camps that I talked about before.
Yeah, and then I think George and I have. That's a great point, and I think George and I have discussed this many times before. Almost the same ideas that you're talking about. As I listen to a little more new music than he does, but we still share new music. We still listen. We've been listening to Royal Blood and Volbeat, and what was it, one of the other ones? Highly Suspect. We kind of latched onto a couple of those bands, and I love their stuff, but it just kept getting washed away. And I think, I keep pounding the table with Rock is Dead, but I think your assessment of the people not being able to keep up or changing to the next thing is more really the problem than it is rock being dead.
Right, because it's totally not. I mean, the other day I was reviewing the new Alter Bridge CD that came out, which is fantastic. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, God, this band has cranked out one fantastic album after another. Everything that guys and women who grew up loving like rock and roll music in the 80s, they have all the attributes, the soaring choruses, the great guitar work. I mean, and one anthem after another on that new album of theirs. I mean, it has all the qualifications. And yet in this country, nobody knows who they are. And these are like half the band is from Creed, right? Who are huge here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, and I'm listening to it. And one of the things I said in my review is like, in a perfect world, any one of these songs would be top of the charts.
Radio hit. Yep.
Radio hits. And this band would be selling out stadiums. So why aren't they?
And to tag on to that, a lot of the radio stations that we listen to nowadays are playing either 1968 to 1984 or pop music. Like you can't listen to a radio station that has a rock radio station and hear anything that's good. I air quotes, you can see the air quotes here, not on our podcast, but the air quotes, good rock music. You won't get that stuff. Like you might hear Alter Bridge, one of their songs off the album, the first week it's out, but you'll never hear it on the radio again. You'll hear everything, from Guns N' Roses' first album all the time. Or if you go to, I don't know how you guys' contemporary rock stations are in your neck of the woods, but I get like Black Keys and occasionally White Stripes, which is still out. But I also get like Imagine Dragons, which I don't consider them rock, but they're pushed. I mean, because they're, a pop rock crossover. But you can't hear any of that stuff. You don't.
And you mentioned 5 bands. I bet you there's not much more than that.
Nope.
That are in that rotation.
Yeah.
Not on the rock stations. Not on the rock stations.
No.
But yeah, like we talked about before, there's thousands of bands competing that are releasing stuff every day.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's money or if it's just they decide like, you know what, there's too much, and you know, guys like the three guys in these boxes keep saying, you know, what is this crap you're playing? Play Jump from Van Halen, you know. I mean, and really, I would say probably 80.
That's an anthem, by the way.
I know. And again, and also what I never want to hear again. There's a level of they don't want to allow that. They don't want to lose their fan base. They want to lose guys like us that only listen to that, only have that radio station on because they hear Stairway to Heaven once a day.
I don't think that's guys like us. I think there are a lot of people out there that are ingrained in the rock from the 60s, 70s, and 80s that aren't us. Although we like that type of stuff. I think there's so many more people out there that just take it for granted. Like I think Pete, you nailed it on the head. There are guys that grew up with that stuff and that's all they want to listen to because they've listened to new stuff and they're like, it's not close enough to what I want. You know, it's not close enough to the rock I want to listen to. So keep playing. Because it's not
the music they grew up with.
Right.
Because again, when we were growing up, what else did we have to do other than to love those songs and listen to them ad nauseum for 10 years?
Buy the tape.
They're ingrained in our souls.
Yeah,
but now because right, exactly. You had the tape, you had the LP, whatever, the 8-track, whatever you had, and you hung out with your buddies up in the woods, drinking beers, listening, whatever it was. You listen to that stuff all the time, so you know it like it's second nature. But yet, as you get older, who has time to just sit and listen to music all day long and know these songs inside and out? Most people don't. So that's why a lot of people, they have an attachment to those songs that they grew up with. That's real music. Oh, everything since '89. They're not making good music anymore. They are.
That Nirvana band sucks.
That was a quote, right?
Dang it, that's on tape too.
So I mean, this is, we kind of got away from the whole Anthem part of it, but it all kind of ties in. It all ties in.
Yeah. Well, I think that the tail end of the Anthem conversation led to this because there's we talked about the White Stripes song and that's pretty much it. There hasn't been anything. I would even venture to guess. I mean, Enter Sandman might be, one of the also anomalies, but I would say
that was 91.
Yeah, I would say 88, 87 might be the cutoff for anthems. When was Crazy Train was probably early 80s or was that
was early? Yeah, it was really early. I was 80, 81, yeah.
So I'd say 88, 89 would probably be the cutoff for anthems, period. Other than a couple anomalies.
A couple here and there, yeah.
So I think it ties in really well.
There's always going to be exceptions, but yeah, I mean, we covered the bases, and it was, and that's the question I ask: Is there anything out there in the last 20 years worthy of anthems, or is it just because?
Well,
there is,
but they will never become them.
But they're lost in a sea of mediocrity that we'll never get to hear them.
Right.
That's the quote of the day, right there.
Yeah. Maybe a follow-up to this is like we each come to the table with 10 should have been anthems from the last 20 years. That would be very easy to do, actually.
I'm game on 20 years. Let's even it out to 2000. 2000 and up.
All right. Next rant is going to be 2000 and up. Rock anthem?
Should be an anthem.
Should be rock anthem. All right. Yeah. I'm in. Sold. 100%.
I think Pete's got an advantage on us, but I'm game.
It's all right. They're actually very easy to find. I'm telling you. And again, it's just it's a judgment call. It's like it's a song that you've heard that you're like, wow, I could just totally picture that played on the radio at a stadium or at a whatever, a wedding, whatever it is. And I hear them all the time. But I'm like, it's never going to happen. Not in this world we're living in. So, and I always say it's a shame.
But maybe we'll make them rock anthems. It'll be.
You can do that.
It'll be the music musing.
You do that, George.
Quality rock anthem.
You make that your fist raised anthem. Great company. Awesome.
Cool. All right, guys. We'll wrap this up. This has been great.
Always a pleasure.
Yep. Same here. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Music Musing is a podcast. You can find it on all of the podcast platforms. If you can't, let us know at musicmusingfeedback@gmail.com, and we'll get it out there. Send us your information, your requests, your conversations is what we do this for. Music Musing _ on Twitter. And if you want to search George or Craig Sybert, Sybert, on any of the platforms like Instagram or Facebook, you can reach out to us, and I'm sure we got a link somewhere to the podcast on there as well.
Music Musing's Instagram account does have a link to the podcast in their bio too. So
bingo.
Awesome. Check them out. It's a lot of fun, a great show to listen to. It's an hour of great conversation about the music we all love. They're funny, insightful. Go check them out.
Sometimes unintentionally.
Those are the best times, though, right? Thanks again, guys. I appreciate having you on. We'll see these two fine fellows in a future episode of either What If or Rant, or maybe we can get them to take part in some of our live album wars. We'll see. Love having them on. And thanks again, guys. So for Craig, for George, I am Pete Pardo. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. So we'll see you guys tomorrow with more fun stuff. Classic Live Album Wars Round 2 has begun, so do not miss any episode. And we'll see you then. Take care. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.